definitely navigating, transversing across the innovation space, and a lot is going to come from you. So Edgar will come in and do the first session, but we're going to have an activity first, and then we're going to have some presentations, then we're going to have a panel discussion, and then we're going to have presents given, right? Yeah. I kind of saw there'll be an awards giving ceremony at the end of the day, but only for those who behave. Now, the definition of behaving is broad. You do not use your phone when people are talking. You speak when you're spoken to. If you have an issue you want to speak, you just raise your hand, and those basic conference etiquettes. But otherwise, karibuni sana. Let's do one quick activity. Yeah? Does everyone know everyone in here? Huh? Does anyone wants to know anyone in here? Who wants to know who? Just raise your hand and say, I want to meet Aida. Where's my Aida, my younger sister? Yeah? Who do you want to meet? You want to meet her. Okay. There's a lady who is interested in you and she wants to meet you. You. Yes. She wants to meet you. I'm going to give you that room to meet with her in the next 2 minutes, okay? Anyone else? Anyone wants to meet anyone? Nope. Who do you want to meet? The gentleman in a suit. Yeah, I got to tell you where he bought his nice suit, man. Nice. Anyone else? I want to give that opportunity, but only if you know how to make use of it. Okay? So I always tell people whenever I get the opportunity to, Edgar, I still have 2-3 minutes before we start, huh? Yeah. I always tell people, in order for you to be successful in life, in career, in anything that you aspire to do today, you've got to be able to do 2 things. Number 1, to keep learning. Okay, learning is a continuous process. We're all here to learn, except for those who've decided to come here not to learn. But we're all given an opportunity to learn. So every time you empower yourself, every time you equip yourself with new skills, new this and new that, you're definitely going to be a different person. You're going to be in the 5% of the world's most successful people. And the second thing that you ought to have in order for you to navigate through life today is to be able to network. Okay? If you have knowledge and networking, you can go anywhere. Okay? If you do not have those 2, or if you lack one, you have the other. Imagine you have all the knowledge, but you do not have the network. You end up in the streets, moving along with your CVs and certificates in an envelope, looking onto someone to take you anywhere or anywhere to start yourself. Or you have such a vast network, but then they can't take you anywhere up because they'll even shy away when you approach them. So let's open our hearts and minds to learn. Let's open our hearts and minds to network. There are very many interesting, wonderful people in the room. So I'm going to accord everyone 2 minutes to just go around and high five anyone you want to high five with. And I will also allow a WhatsApp selfie moment. So you want to have a selfie with this lady, I allow you. Okay, she doesn't want you, tell me. Okay, you want to have a selfie with a gentleman in a suit, I allow you. DJ, unaweza ukanipigia wimbo wa Enjoy? So can you all please stand up for 2 minutes? Let's stand up. Grab, the only thing I want you to have on your hand is your mobile phone with your camera on. We're going to do a selfie moment, and we're going to post that on a hashtag IWTz2024. That's International Week Tanzania 2024. DJ, when you're ready, so let's move. Let's meet whoever we want to meet. Let's high five. Let's exchange. Walk, move, move. Let's move. Lakini unajua uzee ni state of mind, eh?
Of course, yeah, sure. It's a state of mind.
Mimi ndo kwanza na 19 sasa hivi. Ndio kwanza naanza. Yes, so naitwa Austin.
Austin
Austin Makani.
Makani, yes.
Hello, how are you? High five is like this.
Oh. High five.
Hongera sana. Wonderful. It's Austin. No, pleasure. You're with Charlie B. Well done. That's very good. He must be very lonely up there. It can never be lonely. You see, I enjoy seeing all this. Thank you, sir. God bless you. We will. It's very small. The world is very small. Salama kabisa. Hey, Janet. Let's all sit back. Very good. We started with meet and greet. Meet and greet. And a selfie moment. Karibu sana. Okay, sawa. Amnataka tukimaliza. All right. Okay,
I'm a researcher, trainer, and co-founder.
Okay.
Sometimes I act as a mentor.
Very good.
And I'm working with the Governance and Economic Policy Center, the CSO.
Okay.
I'm going to deal with many issues related to governance, political governance, economic governance, extractive governance, and climate justice, environmental governance. Those are our problematic areas. Because basically in Dar es Salaam, tunajaribu kuiwekeshaza muda mrefu sana mwilafi kwa niko pambana. Kwa forum kama hizi,
yes, this is a place to learn and grow.
Everything is digital.
Whether you like it or not, really what the world is going on. DJ. Asante everyone. Now please you all kindly take your seat, good people. Please take your seats. Asante sana, kindly take your seats now. Are we ready for the day? Are we ready to start? Jamani, kila mtu amepata nafasi ya kuwa na kila mtu. Did you all get an opportunity to meet the people that you'd wish to meet? Okay, so this is going to be a very interesting session, and it's going to be very different. So this is not going to be the usual, blah, blah, blah kind of session. This session is going to call a lot of us being very extra proactive and contribute to what will be transpiring. So I'm delighted now to bring the moderator for the session, Edgar Masatu. Nitasoma biography yake kidogo so we know who is this young man. I'm happy to have known Edgar for some time now. This was a little baby, so to say. Yeah. So Edgar is, okay, I'm reading what he's sent to me. I cannot attest or authenticate if it's GT, whatever, chat GTB, that thing. What is that called? Yes, that one, or he really wrote this himself. So it says, Edgar Masatu is a full-time father and husband. I thought the ladies would be like, oh. So Edgar is a full-time father and husband, driven to scale early-stage social impactful enterprises to maximize their ability to provide life-improving products and services whilst creating sustainable employment in Africa. He has so far facilitated $4.8 million to Tanzania's innovators across the country to accelerate access to life-improving products and services in Tanzania. In his current role with the United Nations Capital Development Fund, Edgar is currently overseeing the initiative to unlock growth and financing options to Tanzania's financial technology startups, a critical driver to attainment of financial inclusion in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause as I bring Edgar Masatu onto the podium. Kulikuwa kuna mtu mmoja anafanya zile show, alikuwa anaitwa nani yule mzee yule Terry, what was his name? You are young then. Karibu Edgar, delighted to have you.
Asante Austin. Mambo. So I have presents for you, goodies. And potentially this is the only session at Innovation Week where there are goodies being provided at the start. But you have to work for them, right? So please, if you can put the quiz up. So we want to catch up on what has happened in the last 12 months. Take your phone out, go to menti.com or scan this code. Go to menti.com or scan this code. Kama umeshafungua menti.com, utaulizwa code. Weka ile code ya pale juu inaanza na 62 ama scan hii QR code hapa. All right. 30 more seconds. Fifteen seconds. All right, let's start the quiz. You have about 45 seconds to respond to any of the questions you'll see. So here goes the first question. 58 players already, that's wonderful. 67, oh my goodness, do I have enough goodies? So the name of the game, you have to answer correctly and fast. So there goes the first question. All right, we're leaving no one behind in this digital era. Okay, if we can move to the second question. Here we go. Only 14 of us got it right. So the PesaTech Accelerator was launched in 2022. Next question, please. Twenty seconds. I think everybody has responded. If you can Press enter and take us to the third question. All right, look on your phone or on the screen. 45 seconds. You may press enter and take us to
Instagram takes up too much time. What am I?
This should be interesting. All right, you can press enter and take us to the fifth. Me? I set the questions, so I'll get 100%. All right, take us to the sixth. Take us to the seventh. Now second last. Ooh. Take us to the last one, please. We'll know the winners in 20 seconds. If you don't know any of the correct answers, don't worry. The conversation this morning will cover all of the topics that have been quizzed on this. And the winners are... All right, can you now display the winners? Oh, wow. Amana Bank seems to be in the lead. Yes. So, representative of the Amana Bank, I think, answered the fastest in a correct way. Second to Tony, and the rest. So, if your name has been displayed there, at the end of the session, we'll give you some great goodies. But what were we talking about? Let me invite Tian Zhang, Program Manager, PesaTech Accelerator, to tell us, those of us who are unaware of what the PesaTech Accelerator is. Karibu, Tian.
Are we giving the goodie now? At the end. Thank you, Edgar, for a very interesting Kahoot game. Can you please help me put up the PowerPoint, please? Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Tian Zhang. My Chinese name is actually Zhang Tian. But my colleagues call me Tianny, so you can also call me the same way. The reason I'm here today, as you see in the game, I'm here to take you through our PesaTech journey and to encourage more people join our family and community. Thank you. Thank you. Not yet. Yeah, so first of all, I want to give you some background informations. The PesaTech program is under a bigger D4T program. It's called Digital for Tanzania program. It's funded by European Union. So the PesaTech is also funded by European Union. And now we're running the second cohort. I think I remember the first question is, when did the PesaTech started? So in 2021, we conducted a research on Tanzania fintech startup landscape. And that research, we identified 33 fintech startups. But of course, things are changing so fast nowadays, so I think there are more than 33 fintech startups there in Tanzania. And also we identified 4 attributes of the ecosystem: talent, demand, capital, and policies. So that research actually brought us an idea to create a fintech accelerator. And here you can see today, PesaTech is the first and the only sector-focused acceleration program in Tanzania. And of course, we cannot do this just by ourselves. We work with partners. Our partner for the second cohort is ANZA and IPF Software and also NMB Bank. Cool. Last year we have a cohort of 2. We have a cohort of 12. So actually the first cohort starts from 2022. So the right answer is 2022. And the first cohort lasts a bit longer, so it's like a 1.5 year, and we had 12 startups in our cohort. Please allow me to introduce each of them by just one sentence. First, you can see Mipongo. They are a financial management app, a personal financial management app. And the blue card you can see there, their new name is Mkadi. They are doing digital card invitations for events. And Bizing, they have a business management platform. Ifmark, they are payment aggregators. Lina is doing asset financing. Gasfasa, you can see from their name, they're promoting clean energies. A-Trader is a digital broker in the capital market. And Setlo, they digitize SMEs. And also Safari Wallet, they have a Save Now, Travel Later solution. Affiliate, they they're providing health, macro health insurance. They are outside in our booth. You can visit them. And Dawa Mkononi, they have e-commerce platform for pharmacies. And Climo Meandeleo, they provide access to finance for farmers. And the cohort 1, during the cohort, they raised more than $5 million and formed more than 90 partnerships within the cohort or with the other stakeholders in the ecosystem. So I think from my point of view, our unique selling point is partnerships and community building, and also very tailored support to fintechs. Last month, we received a new cohort of 10 startups. Here are some figures from the selection process. I hope that figures can help you understand what has been done. And in the application we received, 30 of them are female-owned and female-led businesses. I think that's, the number is increasing, so well done, ladies. And also we have, you can see 29% of the startup who applied for PESA-Tech are out of DAR. So the first cohort we had is actually everybody is based in DAR. So we call this Silicon DAR, right? So we really encourage the people who are in the other cities and apply to PESA-Tech. And nowadays, like we see, 29% are from out of DAR, which is exciting for us. And in UN, we have different definition of youth. So normally we consider people who are under 35 are youth. I think most of you are youth. Yes, so in terms of the age group, we have 79% youth innovators applied for PESA-Tech. And you know, in PESA-Tech, we have a quite serious and transparent application process. So we do have initial review, and we also have advanced review after the initial review, so which each application will be reviewed by 3 reviewers, and then we calculate the average score. So, and after that, you will be selected at the last stage, which we conduct business and technical assessment. So we have 20 startups who made to the last stage. We call them G20 because there are 20 of them. So in that G20, to give you an idea of the level of their business, their average revenue is $23K USD per year. Okay, now we have a fresh cohort 2. They just joined us in PESA-Tech. I would like to also introduce them one by one, but just one sentence. First of all, El Desert, they're based in Dodoma, and they provide loans to students. Linda Pasa, they have an inventory management platform. Swahili's, their digital payment solutions. Amala, they have a loan management platform. MedPack, they're also in commerce platform for pharmacies. Shuliedu is an education technology, but they also provide, they also facilitate loans when parents are paying tuition fees for their kids. Kiasi Yap, they are based in Arusha. They have a digital, what they call it, a digital piggy bank. And hashtag, I think they're here, and you probably met them outside of the booth. They're doing digital bus ticketing and of course insurance. And then Simplify, you can, by using Simplify, you can issue EFT anywhere you want. And also the last one, but not least, Busy Tech, I think they will be one of our panel today. They're agri-tech, and they also provide access to finance for smallholder farmers. To encourage more innovators to join us, we provide seed funding for each startup. We start from actually 5K, but once you unlock, once you reach the milestone that are great, we give you, you can unlock more funding up to 10K or more. And we also provide workshops. We have 1 technical workshop and 3 business bootcamps, and we believe that you will be investor ready and fully equipped after the workshop. It's very intensive training, and we do follow up on your progress. And the third one, this cohort, we also have NMB Bank as our partner. We provide working capitals and also technical assistance for startup to integrate with NMB API sandbox. I think Paul Sheila may explain more on the API sandbox. For us, I think the most important is we build a community. And here you can stay tuned for new opportunities, exchange ideas, and make more new friends in the PASATEC community. And if you're an innovator and you want to join PASATEC, here is the basic criteria that we're looking for. So first of all, you need to be a fintech. But our definition for fintech is actually very wide. So as long as you use technologies to deliver financial services, we consider you as a fintech. So as you can see from my previous slides, we have health tech, education tech, agri-tech, but all of them have like a financial component. So we also consider them as a fintech. And also you have to be a post-revenue startup. So our definition for post-revenue is quite flexible as well. So you don't need to make like $10 million to be post-revenue. As long as your business has some market tractions and you're making money, just probably $1 or $2, even that is fine. But like you're showing your market, you have market tractions and your business is working and people are willing to pay for that, I think that will be enough for us. And the least, you need to be legally registered in Tanzania. For this, so some of the program, they don't accept people who, the foreigner owners, but for us, as long as you serve the Tanzania population and your registration is here, I think we accept you. And we have a startup called Linda Pace I just introduced. The company is actually owned by a Japanese lady, and we also accept her because she legally registered here, and she has served the SMEs here in Tanzania as well. Okay, so if you want to know more about PASATEC or the D4T program, please come to our booth, which is, if you go out this door, is the first one on your right hand. And we have 3 startups and many innovators here that you can talk to, and you can ask what's their experience on PASATEC and how to get in PASATEC, or what is D4T, what you guys are doing. And last, I think, or you can scan this QR code to visit our website. We're trying to document all the process, all the program sessions in our website, so you can clearly see how we did this. And also, last, please follow us on social media, and stay tuned for the new opportunities. We'll have like the next cohort call for application at the end of this year. So thank you.
Asante Tian, at the core of the initiatives that UNCDF is doing is working with all the stakeholders, public and private sector, to try and ensure that the entire population has access to finance and financial services. And critically to that is financial fintechs, the financial technology companies. So let's go back 12 months ago and learn what has happened. And to lead this conversation, I invite my colleague, Ms. Kota. Karibu.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, so many of us are so young. Mambo, guys, how are we doing? One more time, Mambo, guys, how are we doing? Cool, nice. Good to start us off with some energy. So, my name is Kandal Kota, and I'm a research and insight specialist at UNCDF, working on fintech policy. And today's panel will be looking specifically at the role that digital transformation has played in the last year in the fintech space. So I thought I could start us off with a brief definition. So digital transformation refers to the process and pace at which we integrate digital technologies, and based on this definition, it's moving really fast. I think a small example would be at the beginning of this conversation, we discussed ChatGPT. It came onto the scene in 2022 formally, and now it's a part of most people's day-to-day work life, whether we like to admit it or not. So that just shows you how quickly things are moving, and that's definitely the case in our fintech space. Today, we have a really exciting panel ready for you all. For our panelists, feel free to come up as I introduce you, but we will be talking about their views and experience navigating the path towards inclusive digital transformation in Tanzania, as well as they'll be sharing their reflections on their wins, challenges, and the strategies they've integrated to foster innovation and empower our local communities through their fintech work. So to introduce our panelists, I'd like to start with Mr. Tony Misokia, co-founder and director of Lina Finance Limited. Karibu. Oh, feel free to have a seat here. Next, I'd like to introduce Ms. Isabella Fernandez, Vice President of Business Administration at BusyTech. Third, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ruben Watosia, COO of Tembo Plus and Vice Chair of the Tanzania FinTech Association, also known as TAFINA. And last but definitely not least, I'd like to introduce Ms. Rushika Patni, CEO of Recruit Africa, and she is a digital workforce specialist. So yeah, really looking forward to hearing these perspectives from our panelists. To kick off our discussion, I'll go in with a question for you, Tony. I'd love it if you could kindly share with us, one, a little bit more about what you do at Lina Finance, as well as more specifically, over the last year, what trends have you observed in consumer behavior regarding point of purchase credit, and how has Lina Finance adapted to these trends to better serve your customers? Big one.
No, we were asking ourselves, how do we switch on the mics? Because there was no button. Hi everyone. My name is Tony Misokia, as I was introduced, one of the co-founders and director of Lina Finance. So we are a fully digital financial service provider. We do conventional lending as well as Islamic lending for assets and services, and slowly we are looking at entering into the cash space. So the question was?
The question was, over the past year, what trends have you observed in consumer behavior regarding point of purchase credits, and how has Lina Finance adapted to these trends to better serve your customers?
Okay, so we started doing business in 2019, and that was a pilot when we were doing device financing in collaboration with Vodacom. And this idea came as it was a part of the research or the findings from the publications that are done through FinScope, where we saw a lot of consumers, they borrow money, and then NPLs are rising, meaning customers don't pay. But then we were asking, why do people borrow money for? They borrow money because they want to spend it on something. So we said, how about we create a business where we interrupt that transaction so that we pay for what you actually want to consume that money for. So immediately device financing was easy, because then if you want to buy a phone, we create a payment plan. And we knew that the trend for digitization is actually just going to grow. We see the penetration of insurance is relatively low, but it's also going to grow. So we saw that most of the customers, they prefer these kinds of payment facilities that are, first of all, short-term, and also the money that they borrow, goes directly to the product or the service that they want to consume. So in other words, if there's any banker here, what I'm trying to say is the points of loan origination, the points at where we are applying for the loans, they are changing. It used to be within the bank houses, and now it's within our mobile handsets, and it's just going to go to the service points. And I think that model is being adopted by a lot of people. We started in 2019, we were the only company doing device financing. Now there's more than 10. We're probably not even the most famous anymore. So, yeah.
And just kind of coming back to your point, because you mentioned that consumers initially were having trouble paying the previous versions of financing. So have you found that this move to device financing has improved that element as well, that people are repaying as expected?
Yeah, initially it was interesting. There are customers who actually, they come with a clear intention that I am not going to pay, and I want to see what will these people do. We have a lot of those, but they are part of the plan. You figure out that, okay, I'm going to go through this road. I will meet a lot of interesting experiences. But I think normally it's like we tend to focus on the few customers that actually are really grateful that have been able to get a phone because they could not afford otherwise, or they would have to wait for a year or 6 months saving before they could afford to get the handset. So it has been very, very, very well received, and that is why we are seeing a lot of companies that have come in that space, and they are doing pretty much more or less the same, with even higher risk appetite than we could ever done. Now you see in the market, if you go to many shops now, everyone is trying to say buy now, pay later. So now it's a question of what will be the limit of the places you can buy now and pay later. And I think that's the main thing we're seeing. That's the new trend we're seeing. The adoption is really high. We are seeing the transformation. Data consumption is also increasing because not just ChatGPT has become more relevant, but there are so many AIs. I think now the question is mostly we are seeing most of the consumers becoming self-employed, whether there is an issue of unemployment at hand or whether it's now because technology is so much accessible and it's cheaper and it's easier, you can do so much more than what you could in the beginning. That's why you see there's a high rise of Instagram shops, WhatsApp businesses. We are seeing all of that, and I think that is quite a good evidence of what we've been able to achieve.
Thank you for that. One, as an avid user of Instagram shops, I appreciate that recognition, but similarly, I really like that at the end of the day, it seems as though the focus has been on looking at what the consumer needs and how you can adapt your model to meet that, which is a great segue to you, Isabella, given your experience working at BusyTech, focusing on agriculture and working with local farmers. How has BusyTech been able to kind of adapt and meet the local farmers' needs in a way that you find is impactful, that perhaps other companies may not have been doing previously?
Okay, I'm Isabella Fernandez, the VP of Business Administration at BusyTech. So genetically, BusyTech is a software solution company. We started with developing softwares as enterprise solutions. So in the beginning, we only had that segment. But as time went by in 2017, we realized an opportunity in the agriculture space and went into financial inclusion. So what BusyTech realized was that smallholder farmers, they have a lot of issues and challenges whenever it comes to farming. So we realized that from the beginning, from pre, during, and post-harvest, what are those challenges that smallholders face that hinder them to actually have maximum yield or to actually produce well and improve their livelihoods? So we saw that they experience challenges of not being financially included. So most of the financial institutions do not recognize a single farmer. What was our entry point was to actually look at an opportunity to create a space where all smallholder farmers can actually experience and receive these services in an aggregated manner. So we decided to introduce and build an infrastructure that links smallholder farmers to every other player in the agriculture value chain. So by realizing all that, we thought of things like savings, access to inputs. So we introduced a savings product whereby they're able to save and later to actually purchase inputs when it comes to time for farming. So going on, we introduced other products as crop insurance. We introduced other products as digital loans for them to be able to actually meet the gap in case they're not able to save enough to be able to actually fund for inputs and pesticides during the farming seasons. So we went as far as most of us are tapping into the digital industry. But what are we doing to actually shift the people who we are trying to transform their minds into the digital aspect? So we introduced a product whereby it gives farmers the knowledge they need to actually practice best farming practices. So we have a product that involves farmers, introduces them, gives them information on weather, helps them to actually practice and do soil health. They're able to understand what climate changes are there and actually how to embark and adapt to those changes. So that is what basically BZTech is trying to tap into the smallholder market and also make sure that there is a platform where all the other players can tap into. We are working with financial institutions, we are working with MNOs, we are looking to off-takers, we are looking to every other person who is a research institute trying to get information to give to smallholder farmers, and also all the agri-makers that are trying to import and supply fertilizer and pesticides with the right standards to smallholder farmers.
Thank you so much. It's really interesting to see the way in which you came to the market focused on software, and then you noticed this opportunity to support smallholder farmers. I'm curious how you are able to, or what challenges BZTech might have experienced in delivering software in different communities and so on, especially in terms of, for example, digital literacy, if there were any challenges in getting people used to different solutions you were providing, and what support you provided, and if there were any other hurdles you might have found in terms of, if you could let us know on the challenges you faced and how BZTech overcame them.
Okay, so since you're speaking about the infrastructure, for the previous year, we were able to actually create decent job opportunities, retail outlets for over 3,000 agri-mechans. Yeah, and we were able to tap into a market of 1.3 million farmers who are able to actually transact in the system and buy inputs up to 400K tons. But most of the challenges that we endured in the beginning were, like most smallholder farmers are farming actually out of what they are used to farming. And it's not easy to actually transform their mind, and instead of actually just explaining how will my money just be in a bank. It's a simple aspect, my money will be in a bank, but I'm used to putting my money in a piggy bank under my bed, where I can actually see it as I put a single shilling every day, hoping that by July, when I'm starting a cropping season, how much would I have gotten to actually buy inputs or prepare the farm for planting. So it needed a lot of capacity building. It needed a lot of capacity building, but to channel that, once you go into the rural areas, most people would not recognize you. You are busy tech, but okay, you're just busy tech. Who are you? You know? So we decided to actually look into an opportunity of getting an agency network. So we built agency networks on ground. So by seeking permits from village officers, village heads, you know, just trying to create relationship with the leaders of these AMCOS groups, because our products are mostly in aggregated manner. So we created an agency network, because with that, the digital literacy helps build. They would understand better, or would understand more if this information was coming from a person they actually see, go to the farm, they actually know is their village head, so things like that. But another challenge that we experience is on customer acquisition and most of the partnerships. We rely a lot on partnerships because, as I explained, it's an infrastructure that helps smallholder farmers get all the other access of agriculture value chain stakeholders. So this thing holds us back, because even tapping into an investor, when we are looking for funding, it has to be like, who are you actually working with already? Yeah.
Thank you for that, Isabella. Especially, it was really interesting to hear about the angle you mentioned with the farmers, adapting from cash to digital, and the way in which networks affect the way you're able to grow. I guess this is a great opportunity to ask you, Ruben, given your experience at Tembo Plus, developing various digital banking solutions, it would be great to hear a bit more about what are some of the challenges that you may have faced in kind of a different segment of fintech, and how you've been able to navigate them, and whether this like network element of who are you, who do you know in this space, has affected you as well.
Hi guys, yeah, cool. So my name is Ruben, Ruben Mwatosia. I am a co-founder at a company called Tembo, or Tembo Plus, which is a fintech, building the infrastructure for other fintechs, in other words. Before that, I used to be a banker, so I used to be a full-time banker. I've worked for banks like Exim, Barclays, nowadays ABSA. I've also worked for NMB, as well as EcoBank. So essentially, as a company, Tembo Plus, we started as a digital bank. So as a digital bank that provide their services through an app. So we have an app called Tembo Plus. Essentially, you can come into an app and open a bank account without going anywhere, right? So you open an app, you register into the app yourself, you put in your NIDA number, and then you'll have an account, so an actual bank account. And then you can save your money, you can get interest paid into that account, you can pay your friends, you can pay your bills, or you can pay billers. So it's a full digital bank, but living in your app. If you need any support, we don't have a branch, but we have an office, so you can come to our office, but essentially everything is delivered through the app, right? The reason why I'm saying this, I'm building up to the question. So when we started back in 2020, our main challenge was how do you get a bank partner to work with you, because you're not a bank yourself, you are just a tech company. You want to offer financial services, but you need to have a bank at the back, so that whatever money you're getting from people, the savings, the interest comes from them. So you're just, you're the front end. You are managing customers. You can onboard customers quicker, but you still have to be compliant, right? So that was one challenge. So it took us, I think, like 2 years to get a partner bank and get them integrated into our app, so that we're able to move money and hold money. And then the other challenge that we have seen, and we're still seeing it today, is the issue with charges. So when you're building a digital bank, one of the things you want to offer is savings and investment. But in this country, when you move money from M-Pesa or Tigo Pesa, or Airtel Money into a bank account, you get charged, and when you move it back, you also get charged. So if I'm saving my 100,000 Tanzania shillings, you charge me 3% when I bring into the account, and when I withdraw, you charge me another 3%. So I'm already losing 6%. So even if a bank is paying me 5% in terms of interest, I'm still ending up with less money than when I started saving, right? So I'm saying charges in a more general way, but there's some of the charges that I think, if they were not there, we would see more inclusion, we would see more people participating into digital finance. But these charges have been a challenge for many other digital finance solutions, not just Tembo Plus. The other challenge that I think is significant at the industry level is interoperability. Interoperability meaning how would your solution work with other solutions? How will your account or your wallet work with other wallets in the market? I think IWTz has done a good job in making sure that payments are interoperable. But apart from payments, there are other pieces that have to be interoperable, like what Laina was talking about in terms of data and loans. If I borrow from M-Pesa, and then tomorrow I go borrow from Laina, they may never know that I borrowed from both of them, right? Because the data and the lending is not that interoperable. So I think interoperability is one thing that we need to be able to look at. And if that is solved for, we'll see more people participating into financial inclusion and financial services than the way it is today. So the same case goes for what BusyTech was saying. They had to set up their own agents network, right? But we have a lot of agents from mobile money, right? Why can't we just use the same agents? Why do we have to set up new agents? So I think interoperability is one thing. So if I'm a digital bank today, do I also have to set up my own agents? Or I can just borrow from others? If somebody already have the agents network, I should be able to use them, or in this case, say they should be interoperable in a way that one agent is more useful to more principals. And interoperability makes everybody a winner because the agent gets more business, the customer gets more points where they can actually access their money or access the digital financial services, and then the providers are able to offer services at a lower cost. That way, they can also push that saving to the final consumers. Yes, Andrew.
Thanks. I think this point of interoperability is actually really interesting, since I hadn't thought of it as much outside of the payments scope. So how have you been navigating it now? Are there any kind of workarounds that you've kind of applied, or MOUs you've been able to sign with other agencies, or is it still kind of a work in progress for Tembo?
Yeah, thank you for that. So as I said, Tembo is building the back end so that others can build on top of it. So if somebody is building a fintech today, they come to Tembo, they're able to launch that fintech without doing what we did. So the reason why I'm saying that is because we saw it firsthand that it's hard to get a bank, it's hard to get a license, it takes time. You need to be aware of what you're doing. You have to be able to do all the KYC requirement, or the AML requirements before you launch your product, right? So all of this you have to do before your product is in the hands of the mass. So because we have done all of this, so what we are doing right now, so now we have turned to become more like an aggregator of all these services. So we have a number of bank partners that we work with, and we have all the mobile money connected into our platform. So whoever comes to us, they don't have to do it. They don't have to do that. They can just use our APIs to offer all these services. So that way, we're able to push more volumes to the principals, and we can negotiate a better deal than any one individual fintech that will come through us. So let's say on that list of PesaTech cohort 1 and 2, I think you have like 4 fintechs that work with us, and that way we're able to give them the benefit of the banks that we have. So they don't have to integrate with 4 banks because we have done it already. They don't have to go and renegotiate better rates or better interest rate with the banks because we have already done it. They don't have to go and build their own KYC solution or money laundering solution because we have done it already. So that way we are able to share our cost. So the cost per unit becomes really, really low because we are playing with the volumes. And in terms of interoperability, so we are trying to be the layer that that makes interoperability possible, because we would go to these partners who have all these infrastructure or agents, and then we would integrate with them, so people who are working with us, they don't have to do it. So basically, we become the layer that is more interoperable. But I think there are also some initiatives that are done at the industry level or from the regulator level to make sure that there is interoperability at different places. Yeah.
Thanks. It's actually really interesting to see if I'm understanding you correctly, you've in a way become the solution to the problem that you recognized by serving as an aggregator. And I think through hearing these three responses so far, problem solving seems to be such a key skill that is needed in order to be not only in the fintech space, but probably an entrepreneur more broadly, especially in tech. So Rushika, given your experience at Recruit, and also your experience in fintech, having come from Cellcom, what are key qualities and skills that you believe are essential for the next generation of leaders to thrive in a rapidly evolving digital landscape?
Hi. Yeah, thank you for that question, Candy. So I think to give some context, when we're looking at digital transformation per se, when I started my career, I was part of Salesforce. And for those of you who know, nowadays there's Zoho, Odoo, Setlo. CRMs, when they existed back in the day, was for the private sector. And there was a time that nonprofits were just on Book and Excel. And I joined Salesforce when we were trying to move nonprofits to become more digital. And so if you really talk about that digital transformation, right, it's very easy to build out a system, but if you're not getting that buy-in from the employees, from the staff, it's just going to be the IT manager who is going to know the system end to end, and then that's it, right? So my interest really in digital transformation kind of began there. I used to work in India, and then I moved to Tanzania, so I was helping in the East African markets. From there, I actually taught at African Leadership University, and this is kind of where my interest in people management really began, because we were grooming young talent from all over the continent to experience, I would say, a tertiary education where you can apply your skills, right? Today, you can learn theory, but the moment you're placed in a startup, you're placed in a big company, suddenly you're thrown into the politics of, what if my boss doesn't like me? What if there's a coworker who thinks I'm trying to take their job, right? And some of these soft skills and teamwork, collaboration, you don't really learn in theory in your university. Some are good at it. So that was my second job, and then I moved back to Tanzania to work with Cellcom when we were launching all the MasterCard products. So Cellcom, for those who know the history, kind of started the cashless movement and the journey in the country, right? If you look at when Wakalas began, Cellcom with mobile money operators began this setup. And so I was part of that transition, digitization of merchants. I can talk about payments for a long time. But then I started Recruit in 2022, which is, we are a talent search and recruitment agency. What we're doing is, as part of my whole career journey, one of the things we noticed is when companies are trying to enter the African market, oftentimes you hear terms like, I don't know where to look for talent in Tanzania. You know, how do I look for proactive and accountable talent? And the idea or perception is that, you know, we are slower here, or, you know, the talent is just not ready for the global marketplace. And so that's when we started Recruit. We do headhunting and search work for companies trying to set up in Tanzania. And then we've expanded across East Africa and Southern Africa so far. Now, what you see, I think, Candy, to your question, when it comes to the digital skills where the workforce needs to be moving, generative AI is coming up, right? We're all familiar with ChatGPT. But once again, if I know ChatGPT and I know Copilot and I know Power BI, am I, as a human, able to take that data and then apply it to a problem I'm solving? That's where the gap is, right? And this is when you use terms like human-centered design. But again, how are you taking your workforce with you to say, I've seen this chart, I've been told that 70% of my portfolio is defaulting. What do I do next, right? Do I have to wait for somebody to tell me, or can I proactively do it? So I would say currently, if I was to look at Tanzanian youth, Tanzanian talents, we do a lot of CV screening across the continent. Where we need to move is a place where, I think the initial moderator said it, learning mindsets. You need to be able to say, I want to learn ChatGPT. I want to learn other tools. If you think it's just a Western concept, trust me, many companies are now embodying it in stealth mode. Okay, so learn it. Don't wait for somebody to tell you, go and learn how to do prompt engineering for ChatGPT. Learn it yourself. Second, I would say, coming out of that mindset of, I need my manager to tell me what to do. If you see a problem within the organization, within your role, be proactive to tell your boss or your manager or your leader, this is the problem I've seen. I'm coming to you with 3 solutions. What do you think is the way? And I think the more we move towards that sort of mindset, we will be able to embody this digital transformation quickly. The government is moving, as we said, with tips, right? If you can't embody this technology, you're afraid of it, then we will stay far behind. But I think the moment you welcome it and you start to say, let me learn it like a subject, you will move very much ahead with the way global workforce is moving.
I think I really agree with those skills. They've been the skills that you highlighted. I think they've been really essential, especially here, given what a rapidly moving, not just the tech space isn't the only thing that's rapidly moving, but I think in Tanzania we're kind of in a period of a lot of growth, so being able to have that growth mindset that you mentioned and being proactive is essential. What resources would you say that young people have in order to cultivate these skills? I think for myself, I did an internship when I was 19, and I remember going to someone and being like, hey, this is not working. And they said, okay, give me 2 solutions, and then I can tell you which one will work. And that was one of those moments that made me see, like, okay, I shouldn't just come to you with a problem. I should actually be showing you that I'm thinking of how to solve it. But do you think there are resources here that some of our folks in the audience can lean into so that they can work on practicing those skills?
I wish I had a straight answer to that. I think in Tanzania that's coming up. I think you see quite a bit of accelerators that are coming up. Myself, I'm a startup coach with International Trade Center, and there's little pieces or niche groups where you can go and you can learn these skills. But what you need to do is really network. If you're gonna stay, and I'm going to talk about developers or the tech industry here as well. If you're going to sit in your room and just code, and you're not going to go out there and network, talk to a corporate, talk to your users, it's just going to be you and your products, right? To learn the soft skills, I think you have to put yourself out there and go to these networking events. If you know Pesatech is doing an event, go for it. Yeah, don't feel scared. I've never been to that event. Who am I going to talk to? You will figure it out. But don't try to read up on what's going on. Our sector is very small, which means that if you've seen me here now, I can guarantee you're going to see me at the same 20 things over the next year, right? So network, find those niche groups. I think as Tanzania, we're still secluded quite a bit in terms of who you know, but put yourself out there. Even if you're graduating this year, don't feel you don't, how do I talk to somebody from UNCDF? You can, right? Like, I didn't start off knowing everybody in this market, but I spoke to people, got to know them. So those spaces, you need to look for them. I wish I could tell you that there's one website where you can search for it, but maybe the others have those spaces. But just put yourself out there more so.
Yeah, do any of our other panel? Yes, please feel free to go ahead.
Hello? Yeah. I think for me, what I would say is we need more executors, because ChatGPT can give us pretty much any answer we are searching for. We can create nice stories, nice presentations, nice whatever we want. Like, get your idea there, write it in ChatGPT, rephrase it. You'll sound like you're coming from Harvard. But when it comes to execution, we have crazy huge gaps. And this same technology, we need to learn to master it. It is the same technology that is actually going to create challenges within the employment space. I think now we all know that there are some jobs that the days are numbered. We all know that. So what is the next thing that we all need to equip ourselves with? Because if everyone can write a nice story, everyone can command ChatGPT to create a plan, we will be needing executors. So I think in my opinion is be a person that you get things done without supervision. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because that's how we learn. We all make mistakes. And just prepare yourself for actually starting something of your own. No matter how small, learn from anyone who is already doing it, or create a team of the crazy people who want to try something that has never been done, and just go for it. But being an executor will make it so much better, because the days of sending a presentation with a story will also be like, okay, we saw the presentation, so as everyone has created a nice presentation, so what is next? So I think that's kind of like the challenge to all of us, and not just even the founders ourselves. If we get a chance to pitch our stories, trust me, you would think like after Facebook we're here, but then it's the being to be able to execute ideas, the plans, and supervise them, and consistently performing with the same commitment. I think that's what we all need to kind of like try to figure it out. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely it's essential to be executors. I think this has been such a valuable conversation. Just a few key takeaways that I've gotten from hearing from you all would be, one, from the example of Lina, knowing your customer and understanding the problems they have and how you really need to solve them. Not only just providing a financial solution that a lot of people are, but seeing like, this is how they're responding, this is why it's not working, this is how we have to cater to them. And I think in the case of BusyTech, it really builds up on that with identifying new opportunities. So you have a broad customer group, but you're seeing one group specifically, which is the farmers, is really underserved. How can you go directly to them and connect with them to create new solutions? And in creating those new solutions, we have the example of Tembo, where you found a problem as you're trying to create these new solutions. You want to make, financial services for fintechs. How can you be, in a way, the solution to your own problem where that's possible? And if not, who do you need to reach out to, kind of as Rushika was hitting at? Who do you need to connect with? Who do you need to know? And what skills do you need in order to navigate the challenges ahead of you? And I think across all four responses, networks have been at the heart of this. Tanzania is very network driven, and I think the world in general. Having people that you can turn to with questions is just key. So before we open up to the audience, I'd love to just ask our panelists, if we have any fintech entrepreneurs here, what is a high that you experienced in the last year, like a high point that you thought was really great and this is something they could look forward to in their journey? And what was a low point that you would like to prepare them for, that maybe you wish someone had told you about before you were a founder or someone in your position? So Isabella, I see you laughing. How about we start with you?
I'll start with the high. So once you start on the entrepreneurship journey, it's like maybe somebody pulled you into it. You're working for a company that's an entrepreneur, or you try to open up something of your own. It's, just the focus on consistency. So the highest point for us as BusyTech was, recognizing that, okay, how many opportunities can we actually create from where we are right now? So we're already building up a network. We're already creating job opportunities. Transactions are coming in. We can actually see the revenues. What's the setback, So there's that point in every person's life where you just stand and take a step back and just analyze, and realize what has been working out and what hasn't been working out. So the consistency and the focus, where do you really want to go? So for us, it's always been like, what are we unlocking? How much are you using, or how much are you utilizing of where you already stand with the idea you're trying to push in the market? So the lowest point for entrepreneurs in general or BusyTech has been trying to always, create and make people see the value you're trying to showcase. So just rephrasing your story every single time based on who you're actually talking to. If I'm talking to a bank, how do I need to explain that, Does someone else in the organization explain it better? How much help can I get from them? So our lowest point is always explaining the value proposition we're trying to offer. Somebody understands, but is somebody already willing to create a partnership with you? Are they already willing to understand the value you're trying to create? Do they have an interest in impacting the farmers or your market or the target customers? So that has always been our greatest and our lowest point. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Rushika, would you like to share a high or low from your year thus far?
Yeah, sure. So I've been in business for 2 years now. I would say my highest point is, because I'm in the recruitment space, the point at which a client can trust you or anyone can trust you when you place somebody successfully with them and they give you feedback that, this candidate has performed, they've hit their targets, probation is over, my job is kind of done, right? For me, my highest point for at least Recruit has always been that I should be able to showcase to an outside company or to an employer that Tanzanian talent we've placed with you has been successful. And I think the storytelling for me is critical, because I think we have a lot of misconceptions about Tanzania and the market outside. So whenever, a foreign company kind of recognizes it, I really appreciate it. I'm just, one sort of drop in the ocean as everyone's trying to kind of put Tanzania on the map. So I would say my high points are those. My lowest, I think, I don't like to think too much about the low points, but I think as a founder, there will be times when momentum will slow down, okay? You are going to start off very happily with an idea, and I really believe in this concept of buy-in. You have to realize that not everyone can see your vision the way you do, which means you're going to have to do 100 pitches before somebody understands what you're trying to solve. And that doesn't mean if somebody is questioning you, they are doubting your ability. Just work on that story and re-pitch it, okay? So I think losing that momentum sometimes becomes a low point, but you have to remember that it's your job to tell your story and your startup story. And you shouldn't stop because somebody critiqued you or looked at you like, but you're a woman founder and you are 27. Can you really do this? You get those questions, right? So those low points, I think, pull yourself out of it, retell your story. Even if you feel that person doesn't understand, it's okay. This is your chance, you move to the next person, right? But don't forget, even as I'm sitting here, you don't know my life story, but I had to start and say, right? And say, this is what I've done, that's why I'm credible to be here and speak here. But if you just start off and you assume, Rushika knows my story since I was born, no one knows it. So keep going, even if the momentum is slow, you feel nothing is moving, maybe banks are slow, that one day, one partnership will kick off and you'll appreciate telling that story multiple times.
Yeah. Okay. I think Temple Plus is one of the very few startups, fintech startups that have raised money from external investors. I mean, in Tanzania. My only thing that I would say, if I knew, maybe would have done better, is when you're raising money, the people who have the money, they see hundreds of pitches. They see thousands of pitches in a year. So your pitch has nothing special. Like if you ask them the week after that, they won't even remember, right? So this is why I'm saying this is, I think one thing that really makes all the difference when you're raising money from investors who don't know you, or investors who have not seen you before, is the introduction. So who introduced you to them? Like who said you're good? Who said they should listen to you? That person matters more than you and your pitch. So the reason why I'm saying this is, so I think we spoke to more than 100 investors, and then we ended up with like 5, the one who actually invested, right? But in one month, I think we did like 60 pitches in just 1 month. So like calls every day, in the night, in the morning, in the evening, you just talk to investors. And these are people that you have never seen before. Some of them are sitting in California. They don't even know what you're talking about. You can give them an example for Wakala, and they would understand. They don't. They just don't. But they will listen to you because somebody said, you guys are doing something interesting. That's why they listen to you. And I think that intro holds a lot of water if this person who is introducing you to them have some history with them, or maybe he has a business that is running, or maybe they did some work together. So at least they have some respect to listen to what you're saying. I should not be saying that, but I've said it already, so I hope you guys will do better than me. Thanks.
Thank you. And finally, it would be great to hear from you, Tony, given your experience. Yeah.
I was just going to say, my law is I've spoken to more than 65, 70 investors, and we haven't got any investment. And so now that's not my law anymore. I think for me would be the amount of time we spend creating the team spirit and training and designing the products just to know the next week or month that guy you actually polished so well got a job offer from a bigger institution, that when you see that job offer, you're like, when are you starting? You can't even think of countering or anything. And it's a problem. I think I've spoken to a few startups. We all shared the same thing, that you know what is the most painful is when that one person that you've trusted or trained really well, they get a job offer somewhere else, and they tell you it's not personal, I just got a better offer, and and you have to accept. We have to accept, because the day that we're big, it's payback. I will also offer better. No, I'm serious. I mean, so and then I think it's the same thing, as in we are heading towards the really right direction. When I saw Ruben, the first time I met him, he was at EcoBank. I was actually pitching, and he was sitting there, just to know that he's going to leave for his own startup. I'm really sure EcoBank felt the same way, So for me, this is a sign that the fintech space, the startup space, is actually taking a turn. When we are seeing people leaving stable jobs in reputable institutions and going out there to chase their own dreams. So I think that it's a really good sign. So we should be very encouraged to actually try even more. So the highest for us last year has been amazing. We have been able to set up another fintech, which is somehow we're designing digital solutions that increase efficiency within the financial sector. So it goes from financial literacy, it goes all the way to simplifying the way businesses and individuals pay. It's like quite diverse. Even we have been able to secure strong partnerships with several banks. Last year, we have secured partnerships with the government. So most of these things are still behind the curtains, but they'll come out really soon. So it was 2023 in terms of greatest achievements have been on that space. So we're really grateful for that. So keep fighting. My law, as I said, as I started, my law was that I've spoken to 60, 70 investors, and all have promised they'll come back, but they haven't. Some of them have. So Ruben has just told me that he did 100 to get 5 offers. Eh? So yeah, so I think it's becoming the new normal to get a no. I think the most important is to get a no as soon as possible, so that they don't drag it after a year to tell you that it's not going to happen. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Wow, these were really great responses. In summary, it seems like it's essential to prepare to be ready to prepare your story and be prepared to tell it constantly in order to get buy-in. So crafting a story that will convince people to invest in you, network endlessly in order to get people that will advocate for you when you're not in the room, and get ready to lose your superstar employees and hear no. So these are really great insights. If we have any future fintech founders in the room, just want to check, do we have time for, okay, then handing over to the next session. Thank you.
All right, while we're having a group photo, I wanted to say this is just to kickstart the conversation. So I did not stifle your participation. I think after this, let's continue the conversation. After the photo, I'll put on the spot a few colleagues of mine to provide information on opportunities within the fintech space. I'll start with you, Paul. No, while they're taking a photo, we can continue.
Hey, how are you? Hey, after that very powerful session, so I'm just here to make very few announcements. One is a follow-up of what Jose Luis and Barbara shared yesterday, the EU program D4 Tide. UNCDF implements the Tide program under that, the Inclusive Digital Economies program under that. So part of our initiative, what we've been working on is to strengthen work with the associations like MFI associations, SACCOs, strengthen their capacity to better deliver on like evidence-based advocacy and such. And one thing we've done in that line is to do a research on MFI policies, the issues that affect MFIs in Tanzania. We've compiled those issues and we've shared with some of the regulators, and still have more continued discussions to be able to share with the ministry and others, just to inform the act that, of course, is currently being reviewed. The other thing is we promote digitalization of MFIs. In that regard, we've had a lot of sessions with the smaller MFIs on shared systems. We promote shared systems as a way that is cheaper, more cost effective for the smaller MFIs to actually digitalize. What's upcoming in that regard is we will involve CEOs. So with Tamfi, we are planning a CEOs forum for microfinance institutions, just to see, there are several options already in the market, which is actually a good thing. A lot of platforms are coming up. Good thing to also have Amala in cohort 2. They're also doing similar things. So Amala and others who are in the ecosystem, we've continually been talking to them, having conversations with them. How do we inform our capacity building programs based on what they actually want to see in the market and what they'll be delivering. So we'll have a CEOs forum coming up on that, just to drive the process forward in terms of so as to catalyze more of these MFIs joining some of these systems or shared core banking platforms. Yeah, and then that's in regards to MFIs. For the bigger ones, there's more conversations going on for the MFIs. The bigger aim is they're able to benefit from other part of the other infrastructure within the ecosystem. And one of these is tips, for instance. We're continually talking to the different arms of government, again, the regulators, to see how well the smaller institutions can be prepared for that. So as they prepare the next phase to allow the smaller players to come in, we're talking to some of the bigger MFIs who are interested and could explore opportunities of still accessing the benefits of tips, but through the bigger banks, the commercial, the tier 1 banks or the commercial banks that are right now allowed to actually connect to tips and benefit from tips. So that's regards to MFI. Then I'll just talk about another program which we're just beginning in June. Again, this is EU funded through the SDG fund. The mechanism for this is a joint program for UN. The UN has been promoting a lot of joint programs between different agencies. This brings together UNCDF, IFAD, and FAO. This is about data systems, agri-data systems, and we'll be strengthening data systems. Mashaka here from Ministry of Communication was talking about interoperability. I think if you were at the launch of PDPC, I think like 1 month ago, Mama Samia spoke about mifumo lazima zisomane, as many mifumo as possible by December this year. Through our other support from EU and of course what Mashaka was talking about yesterday, this is just to operationalize that. The interoperability is being promoted by the ministry at the national level. This program will support in making that possible within the agriculture sector. So we will work with the Ministry of Agriculture to make sure, or just to enhance, looking at the different data systems within the Ministry of Agriculture, how can they speak better together? There are different systems on seeds, on input subsidy, on extension. How do we ensure that all these systems speak together better? The idea is to use data better to inform policy making, to inform decision making and others. So at that level, we'll support interoperability frameworks. We will also domesticate whatever has happened under the Personal Data Protection Commission within the agriculture sector. So that means we will help in the development of data sharing frameworks and data sharing guidelines within the agriculture sector. So that is public. That's more about the focus on the public data systems. The second part, all this cannot happen without the private sector. Those who actually make this happen are the agri-techs, the agri-companies, the agri-MSMEs. It's in the private sector. They use a lot of data. BusyTech was here, Kilimo Maendeleo we mentioned from our other cohort, and many others who are in this system. They deal a lot in data. They serve 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 farmers or smallholder farmers. One of the biggest problems we see is data is not really being optimized to be able to drive the products. And this is what we're going to do. Our main focus of the accelerator is to focus on those data capacities, data handling, data management, be able to better mine data, use data, to inform products actually that better serve smallholder farmers. So we will have an agri-tech accelerator. There will be an open call but probably in Q4 of this year. Our processes are slow, so we're working on that. Yeah, so hopefully Q4 of this year we'll open a call for applications to an agri-tech accelerator. We'll have 10 startups or agri-techs to go through the accelerator. And working with IFAD, we will support at least 3 of these agri-techs to be able to, there will be catalytic funding, they'll access catalytic funding. And using the catalytic funding that we offer, the program will support them to access other funding, venture capital funding, and other kind of blended finance. So the last component is with FAO. How does all this work for smallholder farmers? So we have to look at digital literacy. We basically need to drive the awareness around digital to make these smallholder farmers in these rural areas more comfortable to be able to use these digital platforms. Because then we say, how are we driving digital? We're trying to drive access to inputs for farmers, access to markets for farmers, access to finance for farmers, which right now is not so much happening digitally. There's a behavior change thing there and a lot of such. So that's what FAO will be focusing on, to try and drive the uptake of the agri-techs that we will support in the accelerator. So thank you very much, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Moving swiftly to the other Paul Schiller from NMB. Oh, he's not in. So Paul was going to speak about the NMB Sandbox. So this is a platform that supports startups to integrate with NMB Bank as a partner. If you want to know more about it, reach out to Tiani after this session. Tiani also mentioned earlier that we have now cohort 2 for PesaTech. A call for application for cohort 3 will be in Q4 as well. Another initiative is we've just concluded the first cohort for Tanzania Business Angels Accelerator. In a similar way, startups require business development to be able to scale and grow. We're providing tools to prospective angel investors in a bid to unlock more local financing to startups. And I think Ruben and Temple Plus, they've just been the first recipient of investment from that cohort. In closing, I'd like to invite from the EU delegation, Jose Luis, and the tech team, if you can put up the presentation. It's just one slide, guys, so don't worry. Karibu, Jose Luis.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I see that the audience is a bit younger than yesterday. So I just want to first confirm, was everyone here yesterday? Can anyone just show me who was in the session in the afternoon? By raise of hands. Okay, so not many. So okay, that's good. At least that means my presentation will not be, will be new to most of you. But essentially, I want to sort of take you through a bit of what the EU is about, and particularly around the digital sector, right? Firstly, what needs to be understood is that COVID changed everything in terms of our lives, right? I think it really emphasized the point of digitization, particularly how do we enable digitization and reach as many people as possible. And of course, after this, the Commission had sort of had to reflect a little bit on what are really our priorities, and digitization was clearly one of them. And so they decided to create, as we are seeing in the screen, these digital pillars, right? I think it's important to understand all of them and how it actually shapes into our D4T program. Firstly, it's around governance. How do we ensure that the policies are considering digitization? How are we ensuring we're speaking to each other? And of course, how do we ensure we're promoting GDPR, which is one of our cornerstones for data protection? On top of that, of course, is connectivity. This is an issue particularly in least developed countries like Tanzania, where particularly in remote areas, connectivity is not accessible. So this is something that we really want to ensure that we're able to build packages around infrastructure on digital connectivity. The next is particularly the panelists were speaking about skills, right? And entrepreneurship and access to finance, the problems around that, and how do we as the European Union foster this, right? And how do we share our experience, but also stimulate the private sector to work together in this area? And then lastly, of course, is to work on e-services and particularly for public and private engagement. So I want to take you through the next slide, if you can take me through that, which is D4T. It's a 35 million euro project, and it actually started at the perfect time, I would say, because the Ministry of ICT here was officially launched in 2021. That is when we signed our financing agreement with the Ministry of ICT here. And we signed it in these three areas, as you can see. The majority of the fund goes towards budget support, mostly because we wanted to have engagement with the government, but also to help them, particularly in this new journey that they were embarking on. And so we had sort of, in our dialogue, we wanted to focus on three main areas. One is on digital reforms. So part of the things that we were really trying to help them with was to establish this Personal Data Protection Commission and the Act, and this is something through GDPR we were sharing our experiences. We also worked on the IPOCA Act, particularly on the SIM card registration, so ensuring that people were digitized, identified through their SIM cards. We're also now working on the ICT policy. We're also working on all the different reforms Director Mashaka was speaking about yesterday. And so this is a key focus area for us. Another, as I mentioned earlier, is on connectivity. We really want to ensure that the systems that the governments are building are speaking to each other, and particularly in the LGA level, not only at the ministry level, because this is where the community is impacted. And then lastly, of course, is to focus on the gender aspect, and particularly how do women, of course, embed themselves into the digital economy. Now, within the budget support, we had to ensure that we're also having a mechanism where our ministry here in Tanzania was speaking to our local ministries in the EU. So you can see we have in the second, let's say middle part is called our twinning project. And this is where we have three member states with different expertise. You'll see the flags in the bottom: Finland, Estonia, and Germany. And those ministries are working towards those three pillars as you see here. The first pillar on cybersecurity, data privacy, and we're of course working with the public and private sector on that. The next is around data governance and interoperability of systems. And lastly is around research and private sector engagement. And each one of these member states all have their areas of expertise. And this is really an exchange so the government can, as they're developing these reforms, be able to understand from experience how it actually works in practice. And then lastly is, of course, is the big promotion that we have been doing here with UNCDF, D4T Tide. We have two main areas. One is to work on the digital financial infrastructure. And the second, of course, is to support many of you in the room, which is the fintech community, right? And I think we talked about PESATech, we talked about the Business Angel Academy, we've talked about the MFIs, and this is really drilling down from the public sector and all the reforms that are coming and actually going down to the ground level and working with real people and real people who are impacting their communities. So we're really proud of this program. We're really happy that we are able to sponsor events like this and be able to work and see all of you and see all the different challenges, but also the different achievements that you're making. And we hope that through this program we can continue to have dialogue, continue our reflection, because of course not everything is perfect, right? And I think we need to ensure that we are impacting as many people as possible. But I think it's a learning journey, not only for the European Union, but for all stakeholders involved. So with that, I just wanted to go to the next slide, which is actually just saying thank you, and actually to share my contacts, because I really mean it, and it's an intention for me to actually speak to all of you. This is my contacts. Please feel free to reach out to me. I hope that the organizers will share this presentation so people can digest it a bit further. But yeah, that's it, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Jose Luis. The tech team, can we see the winners again? It's goodies time. And if I can have my two colleagues, Ivana and Bertha, step forward with the goodies for the winners.
So as we're going to award the winners, I have quick announcements. Can we have the winners, the names? Yeah, that Amana Bank is me, so. Good afternoon. Have you guys had a great time? What is up with the energy in the room? Okay, have we had a great time? Are we hungry? Okay. Okay, so I'm Amana Bank, so I will get the first prize. Tony, you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. T's and C's. What happened to T's and C's? Okay, terms and conditions. So you and me with Amana Bank. So please, if you can stand at the middle, so you present the awards from the centerpiece, not from behind my back. Okay, so Amana Bank, let's give him a round of applause. Tony Misokia is the second one. Vigezo na masharti havikuzingatiwa. Yani, you can't be making the questions and then you attend the tests. Come on. Asante sana. Let's give him a round of applause. Asante. And the third one, B. Are you sure that was a B or an A? Who is a B? Betha? Where is Betha? Right on stage. He's holding the gift. Betha, can I receive on your behalf? Why are you not clapping for me? She's too kind. The next one is not Amana Bank again. Francis. Ida, I'm not calling you. I didn't call you. Ida, you have these at your fingertips. These are the things you look onto every day. Okay, so if you guys want a group picture, just go behind the chairs. Okay, so next is Aida. Let's give her a round of applause. Aida, why do people go behind my back?
That's where the stairs are.
You guys go behind my back. It's not a good thing to do. Asante sana. Tony, keep moving. Asante. Next one is Ethman. The person with the name Ethman. Okay, Heavenman. Ethman is not here. It's probably step out. Let's have the next person. Angela. Give her a round of applause, Angela. Well done. Angela, how did you know all the answers? You're just smart. Whoa, another round of applause to her. Asante sana. The next one. Maureen. Let's give her a round of applause. Noreen also seems like just smart girl. Sorry? Smart Lab. Yes. You can't work for Smart Lab if you're not smart, eh? I could tell from the glasses. Asante, and the last one, last but one, Barefoot. Who is that? Is this person here with us? Tech team, you've removed the name so fast. Contessa. Barefoot Contessa. It's lunchtime, so probably barefoot is after some bananas. The Nelson. Nelson. Is that you? Where's Nelson? Is that Nelson UNICEF? Where's the Nelson? Okay, the Nelson is also not here. So if we know barefoot and the rest of the people have not received their prizes, we will tell them and they will come. So if I may ask you to please go and have a group picture, please go sit at the middle. Please join us as well. Those who did final presentation, Edgar, you too as well. Take those seats. Yeah, if you can go on the chairs. On the chairs, just if you can sit on the chairs. Yeah.
We don't get gifts?
Unfortunately, yes. You are giving gifts and you're asking for gifts. Okay, so do you want to sit at the middle? Yeah. I still have one chair. Yeah, Paul just goes to the front. Annette, please come. Annette, you did not, you had your verbal conversation. We saw you and you're very loud. So let's give a round of applause once again to UNCDF team. Thank you so much. I did mention earlier on. Okay. I'm told we have 4 t-shirts and I should find a way to give them away. Don't worry. We'll take them and I'll give them. I have connections. So thank you very much. If you can just now take back your seats, I'll make very quick announcements before we break for lunch and come back for the very wonderful session in the afternoon. You do not want to miss this session. Many of us do research. How many of us are doing researches? Lift your hands up. Great. So in the afternoon, we have a research to commercialization. How is it that you can transform your research into a venture? Okay, it's a very powerful session. It's starting at 2 p.m. You do not want to miss this session. We have powerful panel. We have keynote. You do not want to miss this session. It's happening here, and it's happening at 2 p.m. You do not want to miss that one. But in a very special way, I would like to, in a very kind way, recognize a very senior citizen we have in the house. If you can please just stand up. I want to say a very nice word about you. So I've requested him to stand up. You can take your seat. I've requested him to stand up because at his age, I've seen him on almost every session that is happening here. I've seen him in many conferences and workshops and seminars. You would reckon at this age, maybe you would want to sit at home and play with the grandchildren. God bless this and that. But he keeps on learning. Because when you learn, you grow, not by age, but by wisdom. And by age, you become younger. He's probably the youngest in the room. So let's give him another round of applause. There you go. So research to commercialization is from 2 p.m. Partners and our VIPs, lunch is at Nkomazi. To know if you're a partner or you're a VIP, it's the color of the badge. Then would also like to speak about another very powerful session tomorrow morning happening at the Hyatt, former Kilimanjaro Hotel. We're going to discuss we're going to have a policy dialogue. Okay. Earlier on this morning, we were talking about how we can, grow innovation in Tanzania. What is it that is required and what it takes for innovation and innovation space to grow in Tanzania. So tomorrow we're going to look onto the policy and policy dialogues. For those of us interested, Hyatt from 8 o'clock. It's starting at 8 o'clock sharp, so be there from 7:30 at the Kibo Ballroom. You do not want to miss that session. So these 2 sessions, this afternoon, research to commercialization and policy dialogue. These are very powerful sessions. As we all know that we're winding the Innovation Week. Tanzania here in Dar es Salaam tomorrow. We're going to Tanga on Saturday, so please be there. My very final thought before we leave is the fact that when you look at a woman on the side of the road pounding that big stone to making smaller stones, yeah? It is not that one hammer that she hammers that stone that gives her the results. It's the consistency work that she does. Many of us spoke about pitching many times. Yeah? You know, when you have something you believe in, stick to it, just be consistent, keep doing it, improve it every day, keep learning, keep being at your best, and one day it will give out the results that you're looking for. Okay? So do not despair. Some of us just got for the first pitch, and then we are told words we never anticipated to hear from probably people we admired and we never told them that we did, and then we despair. It's a continuous job, continuous, just hammer it. Einstein did 999 tests before we got a light bulb on the 1000th test. If he stopped, we would not have had light bulbs today. So keep on doing what you keep on doing, keep on learning, keep on networking, keep on being your good self, your better self, compete with yourself to becoming better. And one day, someone will notice you and they'll say, oh, get on the bandwagon, we are with you. Without further ado, let's meet at 2. Thank you so much. Let's continue to network as we go for lunch as we wait for 2 p.m. Asanteni sana. See you all at 2 p.m. Thank you.